Ray Catania. What over here talked about power. You know, the power that comes from unity. And it's the only way we're going to win. Good arguments do not win nothing. Power gets these guys to give in. My union likes to go and beg the HGA. Oh, please, no more furloughs. Please, I'm suffering. That's dog shit. We gotta get out there and we gotta slow down the goods and services that are being produced. We gotta go on a strike. We gotta slow down. We gotta call in sick. We gotta do these kinds of things. We gotta take direct action. Direct action is key. And that's the only thing that's gonna move the labor movement forward. But I got some stuff here that I wanna share with you guys that I put together in the last few weeks. Free, you guys can have them. This one is Fire from the Basement. And it's essays and letters and rantings from Puhi, Kauai, where I'm from. And with a poem by Blue Dukes, a good friend of mine. And no enough for everybody, but whoever get them, get them. And if you guys like give $1 or $2 to LaborFest, go ahead, okay? But I have about 9 or 10 copies, so you can pass them out, whoever gets it, okay? And then I have another handout right here called Hawaii International Workers' Day. And I decided to put some history out there, especially on International Workers' Day that happened in Hawaii. The first one that happened was 1937. A lot of people don't know that. Yeah? They think we've always had these lame-ass Labor Days. But 1937, over 2,500 Filipino plantation workers marched in Maui, being led by communist activist Ben Bailey, who had to get the hell out of town because they're going to lock him up for 10 years. But there's a lot of information like that in our history books and by talking to older people that we can get. So I got about 10 of these books over here, and it's loaded with information about worker struggles, public workers, hotel workers, Walmart, letters to Walmart, struggles that we had with management in Walmart. I would go in and I would talk to the workers and I would get information to find out how their hours are being cut. And then we had some comrades who wrote letters to the editor that really shook up the management, and a lot of the workers were following the letters. We're a long way off from developing any kind of direct action at Walmart, but the seeds are out there, you know, and eventually we're going to have to get to that. Okay, I have 2 things that I'm going to talk about, 2 struggles that I'm involved in, or we're involved in, that was happening on Kauai, and that is happening on Kauai. The first one is about the fight to save sacred Hawaiian sites in the Wailua area. And I got to put this thing down. You can hold this, Leslie. Because I want to make noise or something. I have these boards that I put together, and let me explain the board. Can you guys hear me? Because my mouth is loud, yeah? And I got a booming voice, and that's how you got to do things. This right here is a handout, some handouts and things that I put together about the Wailua fight against the bike path that the county wanted to build on Native Hawaiian sacred sites. And Wailua is a whole slew of heiau. Now, Wailua was the first place that the Polynesians came to when they came to Kauai. You know, the Ahupua'a, from the mountain to the sea. They had taro patches in there. There was the political center. It fed a lot of people. So there's a whole number of heiau. The beach itself, Wailua Beach, is one of the most beautiful beaches in Hawaii. That beach right now, they have a bike path over there to serve tourists. Now, we were fighting against that bike path that was being put on the beach because it's a sacred site and we wanted it to be left alone. So in February of this year, a good friend of mine and I, by the name of James Alalem, we had decided to put up an ahu, which is an altar, to talk about the heiau in that area and the sacred site that is going to be desecrated. And we popularized through Kauai Act 711-1107, which is an act against desecration. And I got all this information over here, and you guys can look at it when I pass it around. Okay, it's for your perusal and stuff. Don't try to take anything off, because later on I will put them together, and you guys can have that too. The information should be free to the people. Now, let me explain. The mayor wanted that bike path because it's right across Coco Palms Hotel. Okay? And after the second hurricane, we smashed the hell out of the hotel. And the hotel is in a tsunami zone. And it's insane to build any more structures in a tsunami zone. But the mayor wants to build that to serve the tourist industry, especially a small and growing class of middle-class trinketeers with their businesses that serve the tourists, like bike rentals, guys who sell artwork, kayak guys, you know, they're selling kayak tours and hiking tours and stuff. These are the guys that wanted this bike path. I call them the trinketeers. And so they're into selling trinkets. Now, the mayors, in order to do that bike path, it cost $1.9 million. And it's less than a mile in front of Wailua Beach. And they put down all these concrete blocks that weigh 19,000 pounds apiece. So we called it the mayor's elephant path, because they were saying that each block was weighed as much as an elephant. You know, so we turned it around and called it the mayor's elephant path. So what happened was that in February of this year, James Allen and I got arrested. And we got arrested by putting up the albums that we wouldn't build a bike path. And the thing about it was that in the beginning, there were many, many people against the struggle. A lot of Kanaka Maoli. But what happened is that I think they diffused the struggle because they were able to get to people by giving them positions or telling them everything is going to be all right. And so about 3 years ago, there was over 300 people that came out to the mayor's meeting, and almost all of them spoke out against the bike path. But what happened? He moved the bike path directly from the beach, and he put it on the edge of the beach. But it was still on the beach, and it was still running through the Heiau area of Mahuna Pu'uone. And so what happened? It kind of diffused the struggle, and then some people decided to lay back. So anyway, so what happened is that we still continue to do that, and in the meantime, we did a lot of community education. We had sign holdings every week in front of the bike path. We had leaflets that we passed out to the community. We had movies at least once or twice a month. And this movie right here, you guys gotta go check them out. It's called Warriors of the Rainbow. And what it is that you got these indigenous people that live on Taiwan, the Aboriginals, over 11 or 12 nations. And a lot of people don't know that, but they didn't really get Han Chinese. But these people have been living there for thousands of years. And what happened was that the Han Chinese took over, but they didn't eradicate them. The Japanese tried to commit genocide against these people. So this is a true story about their fight against the Japanese imperialists. And unfortunately, in order not to live under Japan, they committed mass suicide, which is kind of sad. But I think it's a story for all of you guys to check out. Now, what happened in February 6th when we got arrested, they took us off to the pokey, you know, and they had us go in jail for a few hours, and they put these chains around us, and no way, two fat, middle-aged guys would run away. You know what I mean? The chains around us. And the funny thing about it is that I worked for Child Welfare Services. Yeah? Unfortunately, the kind of job that I had was taking away kids from abusive homes. Many of them were Kanaka Maoli. It really hurt doing that. But we used a lot of cops to help us to do that, because we can't go into somebody's house and take a kid away. Yeah? We got to have the police to help us. And the police were telling me, "Gee, Randy, how many times we came with you to go get kids? Now we're taking you." You know, so they took me and they put me in a pokey, me and James Allen, and we eventually got released. But the cops treated us real nice. They never messed with us because they are afraid that, you know, we're going to get the word out and tell the whole world. Okay. So anyway, we went to we came out of jail, and then we went back, and every day we went down in front of the aku, and we held vigils over there every day so that they wouldn't knock the aku down. Because what they wanted to do was knock it down so they could complete the path. But they didn't know what to do because we weren't going to move. You know, so every day they went down there, and we were still there. And James Allen and I would practice at night how to wrap ourselves around trees. You know, chains. Man, those chains was heavy, man. And I was getting sick and tired of carrying them, because if we got to climb over a sand too, and we still rolling, who forgot all that trying to practice on these stinking chains, you know. But anyway, one day I was gonna go, I said, "Fuck this shit, I'm gonna get arrested now." You know what I mean? I'm tired of here coming out every day, and I'm not getting arrested. I better get arrested now. So as I was going down to where the bulldozers was, my brothers held me back, and he said, no, 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 stay over here. Let them come to us guys, you know, and then we're going to get more time explaining to the community what's going on. So we use that time to really get the word out in the community about this ahu. There's a lot of funny things that happen because both James, all of them are Filipinos. Yeah, I'm half-breed, I'm Sicilian Filipino, and James full blood. He's Visayan and I'm Ilocano. And the thing is that James is a cultural practitioner who really believes in the Hawaiian culture. He knows how to make weapons, he knows how to make any kind of stuff. And he knows all about the legends and the stories, and he's a believer in the uhane, in the spirit of that area. And he believed that he was given this gift to spread to the people of Kauai. So he told me, you know, Ray, I know you a freaking anarchist, and I know you don't believe in God, but you gotta say religious practices, bro. You know what I mean? That's why you stay here. I told him, well, yeah, I believe in the kind of rights of nature. That's my religion. You know what I mean? So I go down there, my wife is telling me, how come you going over there, Daddy? You don't believe in God or any kind? I said, no, I believe in the rights of nature. You know what I mean? That's my cultural belief, my spiritual belief, and it is. And it is. So anyway, what happened is that James Alalen, a great organizer, did some remarkable stuff. He talked to the workers, and he explained to them, you and us guys are one. Put down your tools, because you guys desecrating. And 3 times, they put down their tools. We never get them to walk off the job, but 3 times, they put down their tools, and it messed these guys up big time, because they couldn't start their work. A couple of weeks later, they would have to come back, and they were in a tizzy, because the workers would say, oh, the kahunas are saying, we can go around there, us guys going to get cursed, you know. You know, they was all scared, yeah. But we told the workers, you guys are not going to get cursed or anything, but you guys, this is part of desecration. And we cited the law to them, because we had lawyers that was giving us information on the side as the kind of rules that we could use. So we were correct. When we told this stuff to the cops, they were baffled. They didn't know what to do. They wanted to stay out of it. And then eventually, the mayor was coming down there every day, Mayor Carvalho, you know, and he was kind of directing the action. He would drive by in his big van, you know, and he would go down by the family restaurant, and he would check us guys out with his binoculars, you know. See, what me and James are doing, and the workers would tell us, they say, hey, the mayor stay down there, you know. He's still checking you guys out, you know what I mean? So anyway, what happened, the mayor was watching us. He was directing traffic as to what was going on. And then on February the 6th, they arrested us guys, you know. And it made pretty big news. All the workers was, all the people going to work was watching us guys. And then what we did was that when we got the handcuffs around us guys, what we did was that we would turn around and we made like this so everybody could see, right? And they go, oh, what the hell is going on? You're arresting people, you know. So they're protecting the site. So it's a lot of people when calling to the police department and to the mayor saying that you know, they shouldn't be doing this kind of stuff. So anyway, what happened was that in March, later on in March, about a month later, they knocked it down. They took the ahu down. Now, this woman right here is a without talking to the Makainana. It's our labor that was fighting, you know, and putting this thing up. We're not going to take them down. So if they Philippine, you gotta get these two Philippines over to his house for a meeting. And everybody else, except for Uncle Nathan. And so we sat down with Uncle Nathan, and then he told us guys that in Poipu, in the 70s, he was fighting against the hotels knocking historic sites over there, sacred sites. So immediately we had a bond. And he told us guys, he's not going to get involved. We told him, we don't want you to be used as a puppet by the mayor and these other guys in the mayor's regime, for doing their dirty work. Stay out of it now. So he would stay out of it. So what happened is that they got some of the non-Hawaiian workers to take them down. And they didn't want to take them down, and you're getting real plenty extra money, bonus, the guys will take them down. So had 4 guys who take them down, 2 Portuguese, 1 Mexican, and 1 Filipino will take them down. And so what happened? None of the Kanakas will take them down on the side, so that they wouldn't get spiritual, whatever. Yeah, they wouldn't be put into a position of defying their culture, And so that was a real remarkable thing because it told us how strong our movement was that the Kanaka were listening to, especially the everyday workers. So I got this over here, and you guys can take a look at them. I'm going to pass them around. And while I'm talking on this next thing, you guys can look at them too. Now, in Fire from Below, I got an article in there that I wrote about this thing that was going on. This one of the flyers that we used, and there's a few writings in there about what actually happened that day. So if you guys look at Fire in the Basement, if you got it, if you don't, get shared with somebody else, and we get some explanations in there. Now, am I talking too fast?
No.
Okay, no. Yeah, because that's the way I am, yeah? Now the thing is that, I'm going to be talking about the anti-GMO movement on Kauai, okay? Which is a pretty big deal, man. Because on Kauai, we still get really a lot of the environment left. Us guys, we fish, we hunt, we pick opihi still yet to get plenty of opihi, plenty of limu. You plenty wild animals in the mountain. We really into our environment, a lot of surplus. Some of the best surplus come from Kauai. And I'm proud to say that the surplus will help get this movement going. If you look in the front over here, you get all these surfers and these Hawaiian brothers. They're out there in the front. They're fighting to save their land and save their culture. These photos right here are from the Mana March, not from the Mana March, but from the march in Poipu that happened in March. And this march had 2,000 people. But the Mana March, which just happened recently, on September 8th, had over 4,000 people. Had twice as many people. So a lot of young people are behind this struggle because they really love Kauai. And right here you see guys like Dustin Barca, who's a professional and martial artist. And you get a lot of surfers and hunters in the front. So the local people, once the local people got involved, because what the seed companies are saying, it's only these holy hippies, these vegans and environmentalists. Yeah, but that's not true, because this past demonstration had over 4,000 people of all different nationalities and from all walks of life. One of the significant things that would happen in this demonstration, the one with 4,000 people, was that we had labor unions that came out. Local 5 and the IKEA movement came out, and then teachers came out. The teachers, they teach our kids. The nurses, they take care of our kids. And then Local 5 came out with hotel workers. And then we even had a debate going on at the HGEA on this question. So, right over here, I get pictures from the newspaper on the Mana March, the most recent one. I have a copy of the Bill 2491 that discloses pesticides. That's the bill that we try to support. And this is a flyer that was put out, and I put out some other stuff over here on the side that I passed out at Labor Day to various unions that was there, and we had some public workers, both from the HGA and UPW, that showed up. This right here explains what the bill is all about, 2491, and This is one of our ads that we had in the newspaper calling for the demonstration. And then this right over here is a poem put up by my good friend called The Distancing. And what it is, basically talking about how greed and money have taken over even environmentalists. You get like Joanne Yukimura. Now, Joanne Yukimura has written on the coattails of the environmental movement. Yeah, I supported her for many years. I always support her because she's an environmentalist. She's bad on labor. She cannot handle working with public worker unions. But when it comes to the environment, she has been a little bit good. But lately, she came out and she said that having the corporations, Syngenta, BASF, Dow Chemical, these guys, exposing their pesticides is a taking and an infringement on private property rights. And she riled the hell out of a lot of her supporters. So my friend, who years ago started this poem, couldn't complete it, but after she heard Joanne on the radio, KKCR, she completed the poem. And this right here is the bootleg version, because there's a few words inside here. I'm not too kind to Joanne, And if she ever find out about this, she will get pissed off with me about tough shit. Because she's got to hear it. She got to stop. She got to take her head out of her okole and clean the kukai from her eyes. So,
you read it.
Huh?
Read it.
Read this. You can read it. Oh, okay, I'll read what it says then. Okay?
Yeah.
It's a nice poem. It's very sweet.
Yeah.
It says, distancing. Have I seen the distancing of man to Mother Earth? Have I seen her bought and sold as if that was her only worth? Have I seen her raped and plundered? Have I seen her scraped and scarred, sacrificed to the almighty dollar and private property which have become our gods? Very sweet poem, Nothing really heavy, but nice and to the point. So you guys can take a look at this too.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Come around over here. It's really important that people get things in their hands. That you guys get things in your hands that you can see and stuff. And the second one that I got, Fire from the Basement, if you guys got a copy of that, is dedicated to Anthony Van Kralingen. Anthony Van Kralingen was old wobbly, but actually he came to Hawaii in the 1950s as a sailor. He came here as a sailor, and he was a gymnast, so he participated in the University of Hawaii gymnastics team, but he was following what was going on in Hawaii. He was from Torrance, California, working class. He was half Dutch, half Mexican, and he was following the workers' movement because he actually thought there was going to be a revolution in the 1950s with all the activity that was going on. It didn't happen. But Van was also a member of the typographical union. He was a linotype operator, and that's when you set type in lead and then get it printed off of metal plates. That's the old style of printing. And he was also a member of the IWW. And they started a print shop on School Street above the freeway, and it was called, Vanguard Press. And they printed a lot of leaflets over there and a lot of brochures. And I think brother right there still remembers those days. And they knew my father, my stepdad, before they met me, because my stepdad was in Peace and Freedom Party. So they knew my stepdad before they met me, and they said they liked my stepdad more than me because I was too loud. But anyway, the thing is that they printed a lot of stuff over there, and then they moved the print shop over to Palama Street, 1202 Palama Street. And it's there that I learned how to run a printing press. And we were taught basic skills by Van Kralingen and John Kelly. John Kelly, his whole thing was, first thing, respect the intelligence of the people, give the people the facts, and confront the enemy. We're not going to just be reading this kind of stuff because it looks good and sounds good. We're going to be reading this kind of information so that we can fight back against the capitalists. It's very, very important, And so that's what this whole print shop was about. And then we changed the name of the print shop from Vanguard Press to Moose Louie Memorial Print Shop. Moose Louie was one of the residents in Kalama Valley, this older Hawaiian guy, a construction worker who got off his bulldozer and he didn't wreck down the houses in Kalama Valley. Plus he lived there as well, But anyway, we named the print shop after him. And we printed a lot of leaflets and brochures there. We trained people from Micronesia. people from Palau so that they could fight the militarism of their islands with the super port. And we trained people on Kauai in Niumalu and the Wili Wili so they could fight developments that were coming up, like the one at Nukali'i, for example, and the one in Mahalapu. And so Van made sure that we taught people all over the world how to get this kind of information out. Like, if you take a look at this brochures, it's got kind of like a sloppy underground feel, yeah? You know what I mean? But that's what it is, because you can do them at your own house, Just put them all together, and you think before you write and whatever, and then you get this information and you share them with people, So what I'm doing right now is I'm kind of writing some of my experiences down so I can share with other people. My family, they like reading them. They laugh like hell, and they laugh like hell. So, but the thing is, I get some good information inside there about working class struggles. And like brother was saying over here, he gave many, many lessons. I got the same lessons in my writings as well. We talk about Walmart workers, our Walmart, inside these letters. We talk about guys flipping burgers, we talk about Martin Luther King, but, like the unions, they like to talk about Martin Luther King. Oh, ML King, he was one peaceful guy. He was a great man, but what the hell about Malcolm X? Malcolm X was mine, man. Because I remember reading Malcolm X when I was only 18, 19 years old in Religion 151 at Leeward Community College. And after that, I wanted to go down and raise hell. You know what I mean? And we were taught by this one minister by the name of Darrell Iona, who was supposed to be kind of like a progressive, Christian, liberal, whatever. But man, when we read this book, we got riled up. Now, we loved MLK, but we loved the slogans of Malcolm X, like, by any means necessary. And any means necessary means a strike. Yeah? It means the solidarity. It means walkouts. It means sick calls. You know what I mean? It means blockading the bulldozers. It means occupying. All these kinds of things. And so we were really into this kind of stuff. So Malcolm X, there's some real good writings that he has. And some guy by the name of George Brightman put together his speeches and interviews. Go check it out. And you can go on the web and find it out. And there's another book by Manning Marable, which is incredible, about the history of Malcolm X, 500 pages or so. That's the latest book about Malcolm X in 2011. A great revolutionary leader, a great anti-imperialist, and he was killed because he was beginning to recognize that it takes people all over the world of every nationality to get together, not just blacks. He was really getting that because he went to Mecca. He was sharing water with white Muslims, people of different cultures and different nationalities. And it's one thing that we got to understand is that the working class is of every nationality, every culture around the world. So this is not a struggle internationally based on race. It's a struggle based on class. And although I'm very, very supportive of the Kanaka movement, and liberation struggles around the world, nationalist liberation struggles, I'm all for that. At the same time, within every movement, the most important core is the working class. And I can refer to that because we were the ones that built the Ahu. We were the ones every day out there defending these sacred sites, working in the heiau every Sunday, busting our asses, cleaning up the place, moving rocks, whatever. And then these cultural practitioners, self-appointed leaders, decided what we can and shouldn't do. What kind of leaflets we can put out, what we can say to the community, and we should take down these Ahus or not. And we told them to take a flying whatever, you know what I mean? Because you guys are not participating in the labor, because this is a blue-collar issue as well. And the reason why we could relate to those workers, because we were blue-collar just like them. We got to pay bills, we got to pay the mortgage, we got to pay the rent, we got to send our kids to school, we got to buy groceries, we got to buy gasoline for the car. Everything that those workers are facing, we facing. Just like those workers that are being used by Syngenta, for example, and BASF. Those workers, as loony as we think they are, carrying signs for the masters, they are on our side. They're on our side. And we got to understand it. We got to try to divide them as much as possible from the rulers. And we tried to pass out leaflets to them, which was good. And one of the things that we stressed to the workers is that we are not against your jobs. We are not against you working. There is a good possibility that we can take care of our health in the community and get decent jobs. Our local 5 put out a leaflet. IKEA put one out. And I don't know if it's on here. It might be on the other one. And it talks about, over there, the yellow paper. It's possible of having good jobs, and a healthy environment. Because in the beginning of the movement, a lot of the environmentalist vegans, they only talk about health, Oh, the aina, not porno. You know what I mean? But the brothers and sisters, they gotta work. You know what I mean? So when they get up there to the podium and they say crap like, I don't care if 1,000 workers loses their jobs. It's the health of our keiki that's important. You know what I mean? That's locker room fodder for the employers. They can put that up on the bulletin board and look, they don't care about you guys' job. All they care about is their organic gardens. You know what I mean? So that's what they tried to do to divide us. And they tried to say that it was a haole movement. It is not a haole movement. It's a movement of the people. Get plenty haulis over there. Kauai's population is 50% haole, maybe more. But the thing is that it was people of all different nationalities. Had Filipino ladies that came out there from Local 5. Had 2 Filipino ladies that were my neighbors that showed up. Most of the workers in the fields working for Syngenta and BASF are Filipino. So they never know how to approach. Oh my God, you mean they're Filipinos on Kauai? You know what I mean? Because they don't go out that side. They don't more contact with us guys. They don't send their kids, they homeschool their kids. Okay? They homeschool their kids or they send them to island school. Our kids, they go public school. They don't work like us guys. These environmentalists, they say, during the Super Ferry struggle, where are the locals? Why aren't the locals here? I said, fuck you looking at them right here. We stay here. What the hell are you talking about the locals? Who the hell are you? So, in the red book I get on the International Workers' Day, I got an article in there called Debunking the Plantation Mentality. Because, you hear these guys and say, the workers of Kauai are not pono because they have plantation mentality. Hey, plenty of workers died from the plantation. Hanapepe, those Filipinos was waging war, the Visayans, against the plantation bosses because they brought in Ilocano scabs. My family to go over there, yeah? But the thing is that those workers were willing to fight, and 13 of them died, and a couple of cops went down too. Well, too bad, That's what happens in a war, If you don't listen to the workers, things like this going to happen. So, workers have died, so I trying to tell these guys, hey, the local people, we know what fighting is all about. We had Neo Malo na Willy Willy. We would stop the people from getting evicted. This is before you came. We had Nukoli where over 32 people got arrested. That's why I go fishing all the time. You know what I mean? Mostly local people got arrested. So the struggle never began with the Super Ferry or the GMO. Yeah? There's a lot of things that have been happening, on Kauai and the Hawaiian Islands. And you gotta pay attention to history because during every historical period, we're gonna have struggles that are gonna be taking place. Struggles going to be going on. And we got to follow those struggles and we got to study them and we got to teach one another about these struggles. And the main thing is that we cannot be scared. We cannot be scared. We're going to be running through a lot of problems because the seed companies right now that we're fighting, they get plenty of money. They made $156 billion last year in total sales, $11 billion in profits alone. Yeah? Like, for example, BASF, one of the companies on Kauai, they made their money from slave labor of Jews that they captured during World War II. You guys don't know that, yeah? Okay, that's how they got their billions of dollars, unpaid labor. And then they developed Zyklon B, which is what they use as an extermination gas to kill the Jews. And then Syngenta, a lot of people don't know this about Syngenta, they bought chemicals, DBCP, they had these chemicals and they gave it to Dole Food Company. Dole used it in Nicaragua and all these people were coming down with sterility problems. All these men. You know what I mean? And so what happened? They filed a lawsuit and they won a $600 million settlement. But what happened? The American court threw it out and then reduced it to $3.2 million and they still haven't paid yet. Dole Company and Syngenta. So these guys, these companies that we're fighting, the reason why it's so hard and they don't want to compromise and they don't want to give in is because of they're really lock, stock, and barrel tied up with the ruling class. They've made bombs, they've made munitions, they've made everything horrible in this world, so that the capitalists can conquer and control the resources and the labor across the planet. So this, yeah.
On that note, we're just tying it all together.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna tie it right now, and then I'm gonna power. I'm sorry, I'm going
open up
on.
for questions so that we can get.
Okay, you know what? I power it. You guys get any questions? Okay, right here. I get carried away. Sorry. Okay. Sorry,
No, not at all. We the venue we have until 6.
Yeah.
So, and the lady just asked if we would help do some stuff before we head out by 6. But we're gonna take some questions and stuff.
Yeah,
No, thank.
Sorry, that's cool.
Thank you. One question is, how come they can do that? You know what I mean? They poison all these people. They get sterile problems now.
Yeah.
But and yet this is taking so long for these people to pay these people their money. And they probably died already, so probably their families already, you know, and stuff. You know what I mean? I mean, how come like that? Because you know, other stuff that I see and like they just like they're quick to vamp on this or that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Vice versa. If it was the same, it was vice versa.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They big companies and stuff like that. You know, why?
Okay, that's a very good question.
That's just not right.
Yeah,
I
it's not
see it
right.
every day.
Why? We're saying about they get charged guilty in court, in the court system. You know, that they get found guilty for doing criminal acts like having workers become sterile and stuff like that, because they're the rulers. Simple as that. They can do what they want. You know, they can just do what they want and they get away with it, you know? And that's the bad thing about it, because on Kauai, they have so much power. They're the second largest industry on the west side versus PMRF. They're the second largest industry. And they have over 600 jobs. And Kauai on the west side get the lowest rate of unemployment, you know? And so they have the power of money to influence politicians, influence the way of life, and I think that's what it is. And the only way that we can counter them is by organizing as much as possible. Who knows? Direct action may take place on Kauai pertaining to these industries. I don't know, you know, but probably we're going to have to look at that as well.
Any other questions?
Okay, yeah, I'd like to ask a question. You know that last night I mentioned that movie, was down that rock. Anyway, about the negative effects of GMOs. And I'm wondering, you know, like all these other things, they got negative effects. And that movie that was talking about, it talked about cotton, and it was getting all, rashes and itches and stuff like that. So the guys who are working the GMOs on Kauai, do they have any negative effects?
Okay, we don't know that. There's been some workers that have left that told us they've had negative effects. When I go back to Kauai on tonight, this weekend I'm going to check out an old friend of mine who wants me to help him write a letter to the editor and to get other information out. He has Agent Orange, and he's 66 years old, and he was in Vietnam during the spraying of Agent Orange on the forest to defoliate, and he didn't start showing his effects of heart problems and other things like that, pancreatic problems, till over 20 years later. And just 3 years ago, he was diagnosed with Agent Orange. And so we have people in the community that are speaking out. We have, like in 2008 and 2010, a whole mess of children from Waimea Canyon Middle School got sick. And so what happened was that the workers there, the nurses got really pissed off and they made some complaints. And so that drove the teachers union and the nurses union to come out in support of the bill. Now the workers over there at KVMH actually belong to HGA, my union. They don't belong to the nurses union. But the nurse that gave me the information that I used in my testimony in front of the council, I used it from him, 2008 and 2010. and he's a nurse right now at Mahilona Hospital, but he was working in the emergency unit on the west side when that happened. And the excuse that was given was inadvertent spraying. And then later on they changed it to stinkweed, you know. But people have been getting sick. There are a number of people with testimonies about them having blood clots or blood running from their nose and excessive coughing. But what the doctors want, a whole mess of doctors signed a petition in support of 2491. A lot of the pediatricians and doctors, they want to know what chemicals are being used, because if somebody gets sick, they can trace it and find a cure.
I just want to first thank you both for sharing your amazing stories. I know someone who has recent roots here. It's good to know and feel this history and to have to engage with that. I wanted to ask specifically about something that I was talking with Professor Kent before, and that's the role of the university in labor and how you see this working. I know for myself, as someone who's interested in going into higher ed, that the trend nationally has been to corporatize, privatize. So about 70% of all college-level courses are now taught by non-tenured faculty, right? We're seeing adjuncts play an increasing role, graduate assistants. At the university, actually, currently, we try to organize graduate students. We ran up against the state legislature, sort of unwilling to do that. So I'm wondering if you could speak a little bit to how you see sort of what I think have been some sharp divisions between sort of like trade and labor versus what you think can be the role specifically within higher ed, and again, not just faculty, but thinking about graduate students and then students specifically.
Could I have Noel Kent answer that question? Because Noel is directly involved in this stuff. Thank you, Noel.
Thank you, Ray. Yeah, we need to remake the University of Hawaii. There's no question that we're headed absolutely in the wrong direction with the regents. I was outraged last week to find out that the students are going to basically student tuition is going to be used to pay for falling down infrastructure. How does that happen? Where's the legislature? We don't have a state university anymore. We have a sort of state-assisted university. Is that what we have? It's yeah. So we need to really, we need to have a broad discussion in Hawaii about what kind of higher education do we need. We need a whole new discussion of all the people. Yeah. What do we owe the students? What do we want here?
Just to add on to that. I think we can see what's happening in higher education is similar to what's happening in other industries and other employers. So in terms of government employees in particular, what you're seeing is like the rate of unionization is holding firm about 39% or so, but the number of public employees and their percentage in the overall economy is decreasing and decreasing, because what employers are doing is they're basically privatizing public functions. So take education, for example. Teachers' unions are under incredible attack with charter schools, and eventually they're trying to destroy the public education system. So I think a lot of what you're seeing at universities is mirrors kind of trends that are going on in society. So the casualization of work, in terms of having all these adjunct professors and so forth. At universities, you run into an additional problem because under professors, under Supreme Court cases, aren't allowed to form unions or legally at private universities because they're considered part of the management structure, which is BS. And in other countries they're able to form unions, and in certain states they are. So I think you run up against a lot of the similar problems. I think just one final point is, going back into history, there's a long and rich history of struggles on campus. So like the faculty strikes of like the early 70s and so forth. So I think there's a lot of history and lessons we can probably learn from that.
We had a great faculty strike back in 2001, and we went out with all the K-12 teachers. So basically the entire public education system in Hawaii was shut down. And that's why we were able to pull it off, because all of us were together. And one of the things I know about a strike is that all kinds of interesting things happen during a strike. We met people I was a strike captain. We met people we didn't know on campus. Friendships begin to form, relationships begin to evolve. So a community of people begins to emerge at a university. The clerical people who weren't on strike were bringing pastries down to feed us and all kinds of goodies. I mean, we were getting fat. So it was a wonderful community experience. This strike that we had.
Yes, I will take two more.
When Ray was talking about some of the historical perspectives about previous struggles, I might invite people to, if you're over at Hamilton Library, there's some archival material on display. And I don't know who the curator was and how long it's there for. It looks like it might be some things from John Kelly, but it gives people some of the previous struggles that have existed here. And I know people like Noel and Ray and Bart and Jim Brewer were around during those times, and it would kind of refresh in people's memories about how we've arrived to this point. And I wanted to ask John that if those impediments were removed that have been done legislatively, have inhibited strikes and union organizing, would we not still be facing some problems today that didn't exist in the past? I was thinking about, with high unemployment rates, people are very fearful about losing their jobs, which was not necessarily the same situation in the 60s, at least to the same extent with long-term unemployment. And I was also thinking about the insinuation of a global economic system which also threatens workers because of low-cost labor available elsewhere. I believe the former chairman of GE said his ideal situation would be if he could put his business on barges and simply move it around the world to whatever low-cost labor situation was available. Jack Welch.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, even if unions have always had to contend with changing labor and product markets. So it's, you can go back to the 1860s and, like iron molders in one part of a state. Once you put in the railroad, they had to contend with the same issues, that they couldn't just organize in their locality. So one thing I think that's become clear to us is if we're just going to try and maintain union standards in the United States, we're going to run into problems. So I think a lot of the more perceptive unions are engaged in trying to form international solidarity. I think the second point to discuss here is some people say, well, you can explain the decline of the strike simply by globalization. We can't strike anymore because we live in a global economy and there's too many pressures. And on the surface, that may seem appealing, but then if you look at then what you would expect is that industries that have high pressures from globalization, such as manufacturing and so forth, would see a way sharper decline than landlocked industries. But that's not what we see. We see like trucking, meat packing, all of these industries that aren't really subject to those international competitions are ones that are really have seen at least as great a decline in unionization. There's some industries such as healthcare that's done better. We've been able to do better. So I think unions have always had to contend with it, and I don't think my argument is that we're going to be able to just recreate everything that existed before. The 1930s, for example, we had you had a situation where you had a really strong left. You had a strong Communist Party. You had a lot of other leftists organizing among the working class. You had densely populated neighborhoods, so they were able to sustain these militant strikes and so forth. You did have high unemployment, but they used mass picketing, so it didn't matter as much. They had organizing among the unemployed, all those different tactics. So I think the main thing that we need to take out of this is, trade unions are going to have to contend with the situation in front of us, which is going to include, the global economy in certain industries, may or may not include probably going to include high unemployment and so forth. So.
One more.
Yeah, we'll do one last question, and then I wanted to just remind everyone that we have the books for sale out there, $15 for all the books. We have the books from Roxanne Dunbar Ortiz and also Noel Kent's book, and Reviving the Strike. So we have the books for sale. Pardon me? Oh. Okay. So we have time for one last question, and then we'll thank everyone.
First off, I don't want to sound like a pessimist here. My question might seem a little bit offensive, but definitely when it comes to the GMO issue, I think that's an issue that's very controversial in the sense that definitely not the whole public around it, especially even here in Hawaii. And, I have friends that, I try to bring up the issue to, and they're very, they treat the movement as just a bunch of troublemakers. And I'm pretty sure you're experiencing that. I obviously try to make the point of the certain issues, especially economically. But with that experience that you have in that realm, what do you say to people that, you guys are just a bunch of jackasses?
First of all, with the workers, I will never confront the workers as a bunch of jackasses, yeah? But I will confront the supervisors who are leading the demonstrations as double jackasses, But not the workers themselves, because they gotta survive. So I understand that, and I don't believe we can change a lot of the workers, because it's a question of money. They gotta survive. But what we can do is to convince the general community as a whole. Now, it's hard to say what kind of support the pro-bill people have, but letters to the editor are 10-1. Letters to the council in support of the bill are 10-1. So out of the people that have an opinion, I think they're supporting the bill. Out of the people that have an opinion, but I think the great majority of people are still in the middle. And we had a forum or a debate, a soft debate at my union, the HGEA, about a month ago. And there were 30+ workers that showed up. And most of them still haven't made up their mind. They're still trying to find out what the situation is. There were some that were very much against GMOs to begin with, but they were a minority, yeah? But the great majority of people that came out are still trying to understand what's going on. And so it's that kind of a situation. So I think that's what's prompting some of the council people not to come out really strongly in supporting the bill, because they are afraid that they might alienate some voters, especially on the west side, But to say the community is divided on it, I wouldn't say so, because the most they can pull out, the blue shirts or the companies, is about maybe 800 to 1,000 people, which is a lot by any standard. But we can get out twice as much people anytime that we decide to, But it's one of those difficult situations that we have to be patient with. And I think we have to be patient with the workers, the guys that are working.
All right, well, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming. And I guess I don't need the mic anymore. Thanks, everyone, for coming.